Good morning, Dan. Well, the final touches, of course, being put to things here at Winnie Madikizela Mandela's home. We've seen the trees being trimmed, the grass being cut, this in preparation of the NEC delegation expected at around 10 a.m. Of course, this is them coming as a collective to pay tribute to the champion of the voiceless, many would say. And of course, many people who have come out here, Dan, have spoken about their relationship with Mama Winnie. We had Thandi Modise here 2 days ago, as well as Baleka Mbete, and several other women who had a special relationship with Mama Winnie, saying that she inspired them. One of those people being anti-apartheid activist Sophie de Bruyn, who spoke to the media about her last moments with Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Let's take a listen.
Our friendship, and we were talking about our early days in the struggle when we were still the young lions of that time. And we were talking about the period of when we were united in a common purpose of collectively fighting for freedom. And that this made it easier, especially for us women, to establish lasting bonds of friendships and comradeship while we were continuing to build and serve our country in what we both regarded as a free and democratic South Africa.
All right, that's just one of the people who has so many good things to say about Winnie Madikizela Mandela. And during this crossing, we want to focus on her relationship and how she inspired so many women in the struggle. And Erin Bates has been taking a look at a couple of things that many of the female activists and politicians have been saying about Mama Winnie. She joins me now. Erin, the one thing you can't help but notice is that she was their mother. She was the person who inspired them to even get into politics, some would say.
Yes, and some of the people, senior members of the ANC, have credited Winnie Mandela and what she endured during solitary confinement and police torture as an inspiration, that gave them a sort of gauge of where their own experiences were at, that because she went through so much, they could stomach and they could bear the torture and pressure that they too experienced. So senior politicians from the ANC here, including, as you said, Thandi Modise, Baleka Mbete, Batibile Dlamini giving a statement. She's now involved in dealing with women's issues in the presidency, and other women, you know, women in everyday South Africa as well. You can just look through some of the Twitter profiles and people who've chosen to use profile pictures from Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela as a tribute and a credit to her and what she means. But of course, we have to balance this with kind of stereotypes or tropes around women, and crediting her with her full kind of character as a politician, not ghettoizing her status into just being so-called, you know, a woman in politics in South Africa. And significant that she was the face of the struggle, the face of the movement when her husband couldn't be, because he was in prison and because his face had been banned along with the ANC in mention of it. So she really is this prominent and significant figure. But she too had female mentors. She worked with Fatima Mir. They were involved in setting up women's structures during apartheid. She had a very close relationship with Adelaide Tambo and found her to be a friend and mentor. So there is this broader community of women. And something that I think it was Thandi Modise said about Winnie Madikizela Mandela is that she said a woman's place is not in the kitchen. And she really lived that. She bore that out in the way that she stood. She attended funerals. She spoke vocally and vehemently about the need for sometimes armed and violent struggle against the apartheid regime, which itself was so militarized, and is a fully fledged figure in South African politics.
She was their mother, many would say. She inspired them, but she also showed them tough love, didn't she?
She did, and Baleka Mbete and Thandi Modise have spoken about that at times she would come down hard on them and say, you know, you're stepping out of line here, you haven't conducted yourself well, and you really need to just pull yourself back into line with the party and its priorities. But they also said that the next day things would be back to normal and that her warm kind of maternal instincts would then play themselves out. Julius Malema also here days ago talking about about that, saying after he left the ANC, it was this house behind us that she came to. It was here he ate and spoke with her. And we also know that during the Fees Must Fall movement and protests, that she too had concern over how people were treated. So acting out that maternal role and concern throughout her life as a politician, throughout those long 81 years, there is a slight sort of tragedy in that her own children were so separated from her at times. And because of the pressure and the sort of restrictions of the apartheid police and the apartheid government, that at times she would get her daughters into schools and then they would be refused at the last minute because of government pressure, to the point where she had to get assistance to have them educated outside the country. So she and her family bore a very big brunt of the violence that they endured under the apartheid regime, and she paid a very big price.
All right, thanks so much for that, Erin Bates, our reporter. Dan, and just in case South Africans are trying to, join in the celebration of this life, the ANC, of course, is holding several events, and tomorrow in Soweto, we're actually going to see them go to a hospice to do work, to do good, because that's what Winnie Madikizela Mandela stood for. She would want to go hands-on and help people out. So ANC says it will be going to a hospice in Soweto to help out in tribute and to respect what she stood for.